Theosophical Wisdom Podcast welcomes you to this third part of our series. In the previous podcast part 2, we talked about the law of karma, ending with a statement that in the following episode, that is, this third one, we would be discussing the law of reincarnation. It was mentioned that karma and reincarnation are inseparably intertwined and that therefore they are called twin laws of life. What is reincarnation? Reincarnation literally means coming into human flesh again, that is, rebirth in a human body. It implies that the human being is not just his body, but a soul which dwells in the body. We are souls in the body. Question that naturally arises is, what is the soul? Some say we have soul. But ancient wisdom says that it is not that we have souls, but that we are souls. Each one of us is a soul. If we are souls, then what is the soul? Or put it in another way, if I am a soul, what or who am I? Soul, or what calls itself I am, what calls itself I am I, is thinking mind, manas. Now, Theosophical wisdom says that human mind or manas is part of the universal mind. It is the ego that each one is. When we say ego, it should not be understood in the popular sense of self-esteem or pride. Ego in theosophical parlance is the I principle, individual self. We must learn to distinguish between the body and the soul, that is, between the seer and the thing seen, experiencer and the things experienced, between the perceiver and the things perceived, between the experiencer and the things experienced. This is not difficult to understand. Don't we refer to our body as my body? When asked what our name is, don't we say, my name is so-and-so? It means that we innately know that we are not the body, nor are we the name attached to the body. We wrongly identify ourselves with our bodies. We talk of body and name as my body, my name, yet we tacitly imply we are the body and the name that applies to it. But the fact and the truth is, I am not the body, I am not the name, I am distinct and different from the body and from the name attached to the body. Similarly, we refer to our mind, our emotional feelings as my mind, I am angry, I am happy, and so on and so forth. We must try to understand the truism that this I am I, this self, is the thinker, the ego, the soul, distinct and separate from our body, our mind, our thoughts, feelings, perceptions, experiences, and so on. Theosophical wisdom says that this soul, ego, is of another nature than the objects of external world and other than our faculties of perception. The ego soul experiences nature or world through the bodily organs. These bodily organs are its instruments. We must discriminate that this real we, the I, is not any of the sensations and experiences, but distinct and separate from them. We are souls. I am a soul ego. Now, the question that arises from this statement are, where and when did this ego soul arise? What is the origin of the subjective self? What are this body, senses and organs which are the instruments of the soul? How did they arise? And how and when were they evolved, and for what purpose? Should we not think on these lines and inquire into the mystery of our soul and body? This line of inquiry leads us to self-knowledge, Atma Vidya, which is a great and lofty science. It, the soul, the thinker, the perceiver, the true self, was there before the body was made. There are many lines of inquiry which validates this axiomatic statement that the ego soul is in its higher nature, is beginningless and endless, in other words, eternal. It occupies the body of the child when it is born and experiences life of the world through the bodily senses and faculties as it grows, matures, journeys through life. When the body dies, the soul, the perceiver, is not destroyed like the body, but survives, gathers into itself the essence, mind you, only the essence of its experiences in that life that ended, and enters another body after a period of rest in a higher conscious state. That means it reincarnates to continue to experience physical life and learn the lessons of life. Thus, it goes through innumerable lives on earth. Now, we come to the purpose of life in the world. What is the purpose of it all? What is the purpose of these cycles of birth and death? Why, for what purpose does the soul repeatedly reincarnate? Theosophical wisdom says, soul or the real I reincarnates life after life for two great purposes. What are those two great purposes? One, to know and experience nature and through that experience know itself in order to reach self-knowledge. 2. Our lower nature or body are made up of innumerable lives. They are also souls in the lower stages of evolution. They group themselves and function in our body for our experience and evolution. We as souls, higher in evolution than they, and we have a duty to raise them to a higher level, to our stage of, or man stage. All lower kingdoms of nature, minerals, plants, animals, are all evolving souls at lower rungs of evolutionary ladder. They look up to man for their higher progress into the human stage. It is the duty of man, of the human being, to so think and live with knowledge to aid the further and higher progress of the lower kingdoms of nature to the stage of human life. This is the purpose of reincarnation. There is a high aim and purpose in our lives. The next question is, what propels this evolution through reincarnation? 1. The power of evolutionary progress inherent in the universe and therefore in our eternal spiritual nature. In other words, the great universal purpose is innate in all beings and in ourselves. Second reason why we come into reincarnation is our own karma. What we do in our incarnate life, our thoughts and actions, which generate our karma and produces cycles of reincarnation. These are the two forces or powers which propel reincarnation. We as souls reap experiences from every incarnate life on earth. Accumulation of experiences through our karma and cycles of reincarnation makes for soul's evolution into perfect being. The question that thoughtful people ask is, why, if the ego soul is inherently pure and divine, why should it have to be subjected to rebirths by its karma in the world of matter? Wisdom science says, inherent purity is not merited. It has to go through the fire of self-conscious experience in the world of matter and attain by its own self-effort through temptation, pain, struggle, checked by its karma, and attain conscious divinity, knowing both good and evil. That is the reason we, the souls, are here in this body, in this life on earth. Laws of karma and reincarnation are the means by which this evolution of the soul takes place. Another common question that is often asked is, why do we not know that we are souls and are inherently divine? If the soul is essentially one with the universal soul, why do we forget this fact? Because when the soul incarnates in the body, it forgets its original divine state and comes to identify itself with the body. A false or a mistaken self-identity arises, calling the body mistakenly to be the self, sees other embodied souls as bodies, not as souls in the body. Thus, it thinks and acts with a wrong idea and is moved by selfishness, by personal desires and passions, and thus generate karma in which it becomes entangled. Karma is the moral effect of an act committed for gratification of personal desire, which produces far-reaching moral, physical, and mental effects, good and bad, which we compulsorily have to experience because every act returns to us, giving back to us what we did. So entangled in the network of desires and the ignorance of true self, man suffers. Man, the soul, thus makes karma and reaps the fruits of his karma life after life and grows by experiences and lessons learned from experiences. Our purpose in life is to realize our true self, our true innate divine nature through long series of reincarnation which is propelled by its own karma. In the next podcast, we will consider questions that naturally arise in the minds of people who may listen to this exposition. Questions that we will be considering in the subsequent podcasts are: is it possible to stop these endless cycles of reincarnation? How can we make our lives peaceful, happy, and prosperous? Do humans after death reborn in animal bodies? What is the condition of the soul after the death of the body? Are religious observances of offering cake and water, pinda and udaka, or conducting mass for the departed helps the soul after death of their bodies, and so on. We will be considering these questions in our podcasts, which follows this. If our listeners have any questions or comments, they may mail to us. It will be our pleasure to respond to questions and comments. The mail ID is www.ultindia.org. Thank you.